Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. Today, I am joined by officials from WMATA and the district government and the region. So let me acknowledge Jack Requa, who is the COO of WMATA, as well as Corbett Price, who is a district representative on the WMATA board, and Jack Evans, who's the chairman of the WMATA board and council member from Ward 2. We're also joined by Chuck Bean, who is the executive director of the Washington Metropolitan Council of Governments, or COG. We're here today to give you an update on the district's preparations in advance of the SafeTrack initiative being launched by WMATA. So we will talk a little bit about the traffic mitigation plans that the district has started, although I am sure that we are going to be adding or tweaking as we go along the things that we will do to help to manage the inflow of traffic into the district. So you know well that SafeTrack is an initiative that's being launched by Metro WMATA. It will be a year-long effort to make Metro Rail safer through much-needed and critical repairs. SafeTrack is scheduled to begin this Saturday and will wrap up next year in March. Throughout the next 10 months, various segments of each metro line will be repaired. This work will be done in 15 phases. WMATA refers to these phases as surges. The work will be done day and night, 7 days a week, including rush hour. Some lines will experience around-the-clock single tracking, while others will shut down. Portions will shut down completely. And I want to stress something very important. The project will affect every single commuter, and no matter if the surge is happening in the district proper or not, we think that Washington, D.C. will be affected by all 10 months of the work. So we need your help to get the maximum information out. We also need members of the public, the commuting public, to make preparations, to learn about SafeTrack, the surges, and how they will impact you. And also think about your commute and how you can make adjustments to your commute. As I said, the first surge will begin this Saturday, June 4th through June 16th, affecting the orange and silver lines in East Falls Church. And although, as I mentioned, this work is not happening in Washington, D.C. proper, I want to reiterate that all of the repairs we think will affect commutes, commute times, and traffic in the district. The second surge will begin on June the 18th. And during the second surge, WMATA will make repairs to the orange and blue and silver lines between Minnesota Avenue and Benning Road and Eastern Market, where we've gathered today. This work will largely be done on nights and weekends. We anticipate that this second surge alone will affect more than 230,000 riders. And later on, 2 more of the 15 surges will happen in the district proper. So we are committed to doing everything that we can to ease this burden. I have convened our agencies that are responsible for working with WMATA, but also helping to manage traffic and to manage emergencies and making sure we have safe routes for travel throughout the district. So these are the initial mitigation strategies that we will put into place. And again, we anticipate reviewing how they're being helpful. First, we will expand rush hour no parking restrictions around 8 bus priority corridors to improve traffic flow. And Leif will talk a little bit more about how we will accomplish that. We will expand no parking rush hour zones at terminals for local and limited bus stops with enhanced service. We will put more traffic control officers on the street, at bus bridges and critical intersections to facilitate the additional WMATA service at stations, between stations that will be closed. We are also declaring a moratorium on public space construction work along certain corridors to ease congestion. We are also exploring the option of extending weekend service hours on the DC Circulator to 3 a.m. The Circulator is a bus, a district-only bus that we control, and we will also look to expanding some of the routes. We learned a lot from the recent shutdown on March 16th when the entire Metro rail system was shut down. And during that time, a lot of people decided to try bike share. So as a result, we are offering a $2 per trip option for users of our Capital Bike Share. And we will expand bike share capacity in affected areas around the surge areas in particular. So throughout this process, we will coordinate with Metro WMATA, as will all of the regional agencies and local employers. So we look forward to keeping you updated throughout this activity, but we wanted to start today to let you know about certain mitigation strategies that you will begin to see in the district. So let me now introduce Jack Requa, who is the Chief Operating Officer for Metro WMATA.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Bowser, and thank you for having this event to allow Metro to continue to communicate with the public and with the press in regards to the SafeTrack program and the impact it's going to have on our customers. As the Mayor indicated, this is 15 surges over the next 12 months that will have a major impact on customers. As you know, Metro operates about 138 out of 165 hours a week. That is just not sufficient time to get the work done that's needed. The general manager wants to accomplish, and we are programmed to accomplish, 3 years worth of work to rehabilitate the system over this 1 year period. Even though we are talking about, and I do appreciate the district's supplemental services, activities that they're taking to make travel easier, but in the end, with the numbers that the mayor talked about and the numbers that we're projecting, not everyone is going to be able to ride Metro every day as they normally do. So knowing about the system, knowing about the supplemental services is good, but we need to consider alternatives to get you from point A to point B, and we ask that you develop options for that. Part of our program does include working later hours at night, and on the weekends we will be beginning this Friday, terminating rail services at 12 o'clock midnight on Friday night and Saturday night, and that will continue throughout the surge. We need these extra hours to allow our folks to do single tracking work, do maintenance work, not only on the outer parts of the service, but also in the inner tunnels. Many of the issues that the staff will be directing with our contractors will be safety items. For instance, we will be eliminating 569 cables within the system that have been problematic in the past. We're going to do that by welding the tracks together to minimize the amount of cabling needed to provide the electricity to operate the trains. Metro has developed, there's a number of websites that folks can go to. We just want to focus. Metro has the website at www.wmata.com/SafeTrack. This website will be updated on a regular basis to provide information to our customers, to the businesses, and to anyone who's interested in the latest details as SafeTrack develops. And we will continue to update that, including the availability of parking at some of our outer locations. We're pleased, again, with the district's interest and participation in making this as easy as possible for our customers, but it won't be easy. And we look forward to answering any questions and dealing with the issues that SafeTrack. Again, it's going to make the system safer, it's going to make it more reliable, and we believe in the long run that this is the answer in the short term to bring our customers back to Metro. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jack. And now I want to introduce our DDOT director, and I should also note that we are joined by the chairman of our taxi commission and our chief of police, if I didn't mention that already. And so I want to turn to Leif, and one of the things that we decided to convene as part of this work is a traffic control center that will help us manage traffic, that will include all of our agencies, the police, HCMA, and DDOT. So let me turn to the DDOT director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Leif Dormsjo, the director of the District Department of Transportation. I just want to add a little bit more information about 3 of the mitigation strategies that we have in place and we're going to roll out in the coming days. First of all, just to explain the changes with the rush hour parking restrictions a little bit more. So currently the AM parking restriction is from 7 a.m. until 9:30. And so we're going to extend that to 10 o'clock a.m. So that's an additional half an hour during the morning rush to create a 3-hour parking restriction along major corridors that support heavy Metro bus ridership. Okay. The second change that we're going to make is during the evening rush. Currently, the evening rush hour begins at 4 o'clock and it ends at 6:30. We're going to extend that to 7 o'clock. Okay, again, creating a 3-hour rush hour restriction in the evening. Certain routes have an all-day rush hour restriction, and so that rush hour restriction would be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we think that's easy to explain, very, very crystal clear. To understand how we're going to implement that, you need to know that we're prioritizing the east-west bus routes during June, and that'll begin next week. So the week of June 6th, we're going to be implementing the changes to the east-west bus routes. That is to coincide with the surges that are going to occur not just in Virginia starting on Saturday, but also the surge that will occur here at Eastern Market and points east of here. Then in the month of August, we'll roll out the north-south parking restriction changes, okay, and that coincides with the surge number 6, which begins on August 1st, and that affects the red line. So it's 2 phases. We roll out the east-west changes in June, and during the second phase, we'll roll out the north-south. The other thing I wanted to add a little bit more color to is the change with the Capital Bike Share. Okay, one of the things we noticed during the first shutdown on March 16th was that bike ridership in the District of Columbia mimicked what we experience on Bike to Work Day. Okay, so a lot of people were choosing biking as an alternative, and we've worked with Capital Bike Share, which is a regional entity, to create a new pricing option. Right now, to use Capital Bike Share, you either need to spend $85 for an annual membership, or you need to buy a day pass for $8. They're going to roll out a per trip membership for $2. Okay, so we think that that will give people more options for a single trip to support a journey to work. They don't necessarily have to make a full day commitment to the bike. It's just a 30-minute relationship. So they can, this kind of casual and affordable use of Capital Bike Share, we think, is going to be a good supplement. And then the last thing I just wanted to talk about is something that the mayor mentioned. When we have major events, we pull together our Homeland Security, emergency management professionals, the police department, and DDOT, and we normally co-locate and set up a special operations focus. We don't do that every day because, we have kind of routine ways to communicate. We're not dealing with the same types of demands that we might experience on a snow event or the papal visit or something like that. But we've decided at the mayor's direction to co-locate those professionals because we need to really treat the changes that we're going to experience with our travel patterns with that type of urgency. So that's going to be a pretty significant change. That will allow us to get a lot of good intelligence from the police department, who are out in the field observing a lot of traffic conditions and incidents, and feed that back into our traffic signal operators and message board folks who can make changes. So those are 3 things I just wanted to focus on. And with that, I'm going to invite up the chairman of Metro, Jack Evans.
Thank you, Leif. Thank you, Leif. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. And I'm pleased to be here with the mayor and everyone to address this most important issue for our region. First, I want to congratulate and thank the mayor and her staff for putting together a very well thought out plan to begin to address many of the inconveniences that are going to be experienced by our passengers who ride Metro Rail and Metro Bus. A little background to understand why we are here. For the last 15 years, Metro has not kept up its system. There's a lot of reasons behind it, but probably the most pressing one was we didn't have enough time to get into the tracks. It was mentioned we have about 19 hours a week that we can work on the tracks. It was not nearly enough, and the end result is what we have today. And imagine this. Imagine Metro has 117 miles in its system. Imagine a road, a two-lane highway from here to Richmond. Two-lane highway, no exits, no entrances, half is underground, half is above ground. You have done little or no maintenance over the last 15 years. It's full of potholes, the guardrails are falling down, and you have to fix it. That is the challenge we have. That is why we are doing SafeTrack. That is why we have to take the actions that we are taking as Metro in order to get this to be a safe and reliable system. One thing I do want to mention, at the end of a year's worth of work, we are not going to be there. We are going to have a safer system, hopefully a more reliable system, but there are enormous challenges ahead of us. For instance, part of the reason it's not reliable is because cars break down. We are buying 12 cars a month, 144 a year for the next 10 years to replace our fleet, which costs us $3 billion, money we don't have. We have structural problems. We need a new tunnel from Roslyn. $5 billion item, money we don't have. And we are having ongoing repairs even after next year. So I want to caution everybody not to expect a brand new system a year from now, but a system that is better than the system that we have today. I want to encourage the other jurisdictions to do what our mayor is doing and to come up with ideas to make this less inconvenient for our riders. And finally, Metro itself will be on top of all of the suggestions, and I want to encourage the riding public to let us know this is an unfolding event. How can we do this better over the next year to make this work for everybody? I want people to remember this. At the end of the year, it's not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end. At best, it's the end of the beginning. We have a long way to go to fix Metro, but this is a first step. So I want to thank everyone for pulling together and really trying to make this happen. And with that, I suppose I'm supposed to turn it back over to the mayor.
Sure. So we're happy to answer some questions.
Can you just give us a gut check on just the bottom line? How severe do you think this impact of this is going to be on your voters and residents?
Well, we're planning to have a lot more people on our roads. Now, if you get around the District of Columbia like I do, east, west, north, south, rush hour, non-rush hour, early and late, you know that there are already a lot of cars on the road, and we already experience a lot of congestion at certain times. And so we really want to encourage people to think about their commutes. You heard the Chief Operating Officer for Metro say that it's their belief with lower frequencies and single tracking that some people will choose to drive. And so if people are choosing to drive, we're asking them, first of all, to think about sharing that ride. So we will be having conversations with employers, and I know Chuck Bean is here from COG, who runs the regional ride sharing network, that we have to have people thinking about sharing the ride and not driving alone. Secondly, you also heard Leif talk about bike share and how so many people were using bike share, and we want to make it easier to use bike share. We'll also be considering ways to have taxi stands or other shared ride taxi stands, so people who are pooling, whether it's in a personal vehicle, whether it's on one of the ride sharing services, that they're sharing the ride, and that we're going to make every attempt to make that easier. So we are preparing to have more cars on already congested roads and put in place some mitigation strategies that will help. Yes, sir.
I'll wait for the siren to go by.
Okay, I can hear you.
Maybe it won't. Yeah, but the microphone hears the siren.
Okay.
Tom Fitzgerald from Fox 5. When you look at Surge 2 behind you, it's pretty clear. You see it. It cuts off a large section of the Anacostia. There are folks over there in Ward 7 who aren't going to be able to use the metro for 2 weeks. What are you concerned about what the choke points could be?
Well, I'll turn to DDOT to talk about any specifics about this surge or Metro.
Well, that's a great question, and the rationale behind our change to the rush hour parking restrictions gets at that. We've studied these corridors, and the single best thing that we can do to move more buses and ultimately more vehicles is to provide for more lane capacity. So I think the mitigation measure that we're introducing is the one that is fit to the circumstance. The other issue here is that people have to think about the timing of their travel, and so if they can make an adjustment by traveling earlier or traveling later, employers need to afford employees some flexibility about alternative work locations. So these are the types of things we're going to be working with the region on. But choke points, I don't think we're terribly concerned that we're going to have a particular choke point. We're really just thinking about moving people through an entire corridor.
To follow along those lines, Mayor, is there something the district can do as far as telecommuting? What is the district doing with its own workforce to maybe ease some of this?
Sure. So we're considering that now, department by department, to see what changes we can make. We had an initial conversation with our Human Resources Department. Again, we have some recent experience with the total shutdown of the system back in March. We got some informal feedback from our employees about their commutes, and we will be giving some direction to our departments in the coming days. Our Human Resources Director is also a part of the greater regional conversation with the federal government and the direction the federal government will give its employees. We do have the ability. Now, we're not the federal government, okay? Our employees provide day-to-day, face-to-face service to district residents, and so we will make every effort not to impact the district's operations, but available to department directors are, flexible schedules, as has been mentioned, in terms of the hours that people may report. We have limited teleworking opportunities in district government, and some compressed work schedules where we may have employees work many hours in a day, so that one day a week they wouldn't have to travel to the office. Yes.
One, do you have a price tag for this, what the expanded TCOs, rush hour enforcement, and whatnot, what that's going to cost the DC government? And also, along those lines, do you have any estimate of what this is going to cost the local economy, possible dollars lost, tourism, or revenue from late night restaurants?
Well, we the first part of your question, we plan to shift our TCOs. We already have a plan to hire up TCOs for just generally demand for everything in the district is going up. So we have more events, we have more businesses, we have more people, and we need more assistance with traffic management. So we are already planning to hire up TCOs in the summer, and in the most recent budget, there was an additional infusion of dollars for TCOs district-wide. So we plan to do that. I think there may be some impact with changing in parking, but we will estimate that and we will absorb that just fine. Basically, though, Mark, to your question, you're asking me what's Metro worth to Washington, D.C., and I can only say it's everything to our economy. We need a smooth functioning Metro system, and this 10 months to get us back to a state of good repair. I'll say that, even though there's $26 billion worth of work that I think that will still need to be done, we will be much better off in 10 months than we are today.
What about this tourist season? I mean, this is coming right at the beginning of tourism season.
Well, we're going to work with Events DC and Destination DC to make sure that everybody knows how to get around. A lot of our tourists, as you know, we put the Capital Bike Share on the mall, and in fact, they can get around to most tourist destinations for $1 already, all around the mall, and that has been very popular with our tourists. And so we expect that people are going to be able to get along. You mentioned nightlife, and that's one area where we will continue to think about shared ride spaces and other things that we can do with our own resources to assist with that.
Mayor Bowser, when you were on the Metro board, did you foresee any of these problems, and did you ever raise warnings about the lack of maintenance that was being done then, i.e. the narrow windows at night with the late night service?
Yes. In fact, there was a lot of concern then because we began to see ridership dips, and we have because of the lack of reliability and low frequency during the weekends and things like that. So there has been an ongoing conversation about the span of time work can be done and the impact on ridership. If you're asking me, did I anticipate the type of emergency situations that we've seen, I don't think anybody did.
Because your city now is left, because all lines lead to DC, so it doesn't matter where the surges are happening, it's going to affect the district every day for 10 months.
I think I said that at the beginning of my comments, and actually all lines, they go throughout the region. So this is an impact, a significant impact on the region. Yes.
On the nightlife, for the chief, you mentioned the nightlife. With the end of service now at 12 midnight, any concerns about increased drunk drivers on the road? What are the police doing to mitigate potential traffic impacts?
Chief.
So, you know, we have designated nightlife areas that we established about 4 years ago where we deploy officers specially trained in nightlife and entertainment zones. They are working to put together pickup zones and kind of safe passage route for those pickup zones to try and help the flow of traffic in and out of the nightlife areas. It's not just the nightlife goers, it's more, you know, the after midnight service workers that have to get home from the core downtown who will rely on different forms of transportation now, bus versus rail. So we have plans for each of our nightlife areas that we'll be putting into place to make sure that we can get nightlife revelers in and out of their nightlife areas.
Chief Mayor, while you're still there, I have a question. Yes. June 20th, summer camp season starts for our kids. The 27th, FYP start, and then summer school starts. How are kids to move around the system safely? Because some of them are just picking an area to work that they may be unfamiliar with. Some of our kids who are going to come to summer camp, they've not been to that area of the city before. They're just coming there because that's where their summer camp is. How are they to move around the city?
So we do know about 14,600 summer youth employment folks that'll be, most of which rely on public transportation, along with, I think, around 20,000 summer school students. So messaging is going out to parents and for the summer youth employment folks to start making plans. There are bus lines that are available. There are bus bridges that are being made available. So alternate means of getting to and from work is what everybody needs to be planning for now throughout the duration of this event. But we do know the exact numbers. We know the ridership from Metro, and so we just got to kind of work together, and messaging is very important for us.
Who hasn't had a chance? Yes.
Ma'am, that's the legal with the Washington Post. You issued a letter to Metro asking them to reconsider the midnight closures and the closures for 10 special events. I mean, Metro has said this is their plan and they're sticking to it. Do you plan to keep pushing for that? And is it possible, I mean, a letter like this is just kind of a distraction from the work?
Is what?
Is it possible that a letter like this is just a distraction from the work that needs to be done?
Well, that's kind of ridiculous to suggest when there were comments, there was a request for comments that everybody submitted around the plan. So my job is to make sure that the plan has been fully vetted and every consideration has been made. And we continue to want to make sure that we can move traffic. When we have large events, we have a lot of cars, we have people from all over, and we need to be able to move people. So we think that the general manager at Metro is in the best position to push a plan, advance the plan, and we're going to hold him accountable for getting the work done.
So one more on topic. The Post did a piece the other day which identified some what they call denial amongst folks about what SafeTrack is going to mean to their lives. Some people were saying, well, I don't use Metro, so what do I care? But this is going to have an effect on roads, on buses, on pedestrians, on bicyclists. What would you say to any of the folks out there where they live in DC, Maryland, or Virginia who might be shrugging this off and thinking, I don't use Metro?
Well, that's precisely why we're here, because not just SafeTrack. Sometimes people put off thinking about things that seem far out or seem like they don't affect them. So we're asking them to pay attention because it is going to impact every aspect of commutes in the region. Yes.
You mentioned a little while ago about moving people. Has the administration considered implementation of dedicated bus lanes on any of these high traffic corridors to move more people?
We have already plans for some dedicated bus service. Turning on a dedicated bus service on a dime, though, is not usually a good way to implement transit service or to move people. And so one part of the SafeTrack is that it was announced several weeks ago, and so we've had several weeks of planning, not months, not a year, but several weeks of planning. So what we intend to do is to use every mitigation strategy that has been demonstrated to work in other incidences like this, and look and see how it's working. What Jack started by saying this is not the beginning of the end. Is that what you said, Jack?
It's not the end. It's not the beginning.
It's not the end. So what I also want to say is we all know we already have significant traffic and congestion on some routes. So the strategies that we've outlined, we're making every effort to further to mitigate more, or to try to lessen the impacts of people moving off of the rail and into cars. And what I can't emphasize enough is that the last thing you want to do is to give up Metro Rail and get in a single occupied vehicle. If you're thinking about driving, I hope that you take advantage of finding a way to share the ride.
Mayor Bowser,
yes.
Of Max Smith with WTOP. How will drivers know when these restrictions are expanded? Are there going to be signs? Are there going to be the temporary parking signs? And then how will they be enforced?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Yes, folks have to be mindful of the variable message signs that we're going to put up. So we're going to be doing a lot of that to alert people of the changes. And then parkers need to be very conscious of the signage along the blocks where they've been parking. We're not going to trap anybody who's parked and we make a change while they're inside or something like that. So we're going to be very accommodating in terms of installing the signs and making these changes, but we're not going to be able to flip a switch and change every single sign all at once. So people are going to have to be very conscious of how the curbside is being regulated by those particular signs.
A sign on that, they would follow whatever the sign says on that block at that time, or
correct.
Okay, Jack, you wanted to add something?
Thank you. As the mayor knows, I come from the bus side of the organization, and Metro Bus carries over 450,000 people on an average weekday. For each of these shutdowns, yes, there will be no rail service, but there will be bus service to Eastern Market every 5 or 10 minutes. So people will be able to use rail coming in from the east or in from the west and transporting across by buses, as we've done on many weekends over the past. During these shutdowns, we will also expand bus service on many of the routes from the east side of the river into town and throughout the system as these surges take place, and would encourage people to use Metro's Trip Planner, which is being updated with all the new running times on rail and for bus services to accommodate passengers. So we don't give up on the bus. Check the Trip Planner. We can help get people there. It just can't handle everyone. Thank you.
Well, Metro sent a package of information to all of its jurisdictions yesterday with forecasts for crush loads based on time of day and line in these upcoming surges. I've seen some of these estimates of potential 160 people per rail car, 140 people per rail car, which is way above what it should be. Aren't you telling people don't take the train? Isn't that the simple message? Stay away from the train?
We're saying that take into consideration the supplemental services, the other things that the jurisdictions are providing. There will be rail service. It's going to be crowded, and we hope that through these efforts, the mayor's efforts, everything that the jurisdictions are doing, that people will find alternatives and that those numbers will come down considerably. But it's going to be crowded. and it's going to be slow.
Let me before I get there, I want to invite Chuck Bean to speak on behalf of Todd.
Hi, I'm Chuck Bean, Executive Director at the Council of Governments, and first I want to acknowledge the leadership of Mayor Bowser and Director Dormsjo. What you're seeing here in the district is being mirrored throughout the region, in Prince George's, in Montgomery, and Fairfax, and in Arlington. Some of this operational work, this mitigation, happens within a jurisdiction. Some of it happens across jurisdictions. I want to congratulate Leif for his workshop yesterday with Arlington and with Fairfax, so that is happening around the region. I think the message to the public from my perspective are the ABCs of getting through this is A, assess alternatives, B, be prepared. You know, for folks that are going to be facing Surge 1 on Monday, do a trial run tomorrow. Look at all these alternatives that Jack and others are talking about. Our data shows that about 1/3 of all Metro riders have telecommuted before, and another additional third could telecommute. So telecommuting, flexible scheduling to avoid the crush. Commuter Connections is the C. Commuter Connections have been around for 40 years, helping people find alternatives, van pools, buses, many modes. So go to commuterconnections.org. Did I mention commuterconnections.org? Thank you, Mayor.
Right, very good. All right. Okay, one last.
Bowser, last week Governor McAuliffe threatened to withhold funding from Metro if they didn't meet his state safety requirements. He's not going to wait until the end next year when the commission takes over. Have you considered and given any thought to a similar tactic of withholding funding from Metro?
We want Metro to be open. We want it to be safe. We want it to be compliant not only with our expectations but with the FTA's expectations, and we will fulfill our commitments to the contract. Now, it has to run, right? So it has to be open. So the things that I have made very clear to the authority is that the Metro has to be running and it has to be safe. We also have some public safety issues that we want to make sure that the Metro is addressing. But we feel like the general manager is working with the region. He's put a plan in place, and we want to be supportive. Okay.
Rochelle Mestro with CTV News. Prince George's Police recently arrested an ATV rider and camera operator for illegal driving and taunting police. I just wanted to get your reaction since this is something you've been trying to crack down on.
Sure, I will have the chief talk to you about that before we all leave. Okay. Thank you, everybody.